Two steps forward for the Tampa Bay Lightning. A 2-goal win over the Vancouver Canucks, but maybe another step or two back with some potential injuries to star players. Let's take a dive into the start of the Lightning's road trip in today's episode of Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Sperber here, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. What time is it? Game time. And let's dive right in. The Tampa Bay Lightning in a back and forth contest against the Vancouver Canucks. It was the Canucks that got the first goal, Quinn Hughes, towards the end of the first period. Then at the start of the second, Nikita Kucherov getting one back in his first game back from injury. Then Brayden Point, NHL's power play goal leader, on an assist from Kuch, tied up by Kiefer Sherwood, a power play tip-in from Jake Guentzel, and then Point again with an empty netter. Brayden Point had a hand in all four Lightning goals with 2 goals and 2 assists. And Brayden's last assist on the go-ahead goal, he got the secondary assist to Jake Guentzel, his 300th career assists. And Point, who completed his 600th career game the last time the Lightning played at Amalie Arena, is averaging just under 1 point per game so far in his NHL career and starting to get involved really in every aspect. Not that he hasn't been an elite offensive player, but he's at Brayden Point is a guy that you expect to just pick up loose pucks and score goals. But he is an underrated passer for a guy that scores as much as he does. And he just continues to create scoring chances, whether it's off a missed shot, whether he's moving the puck around as well as that first line does. I mean, Jake Guentzel has factored into that great chemistry on the Lightning first line. With just no interruption to what it's been for the last couple of years. Even with the Lightning losing a couple of forwards, it just seems like they haven't skipped a beat with Jake Guentzel. And a big part of that in this game was Nikita Kucherov coming back and getting another 3-point game, a goal and 2 assists for Nikita Kucherov. And Kucherov with a part in every goal except for the unassisted empty netter from Brayden Point. Though even on that, he was down the ice. He was just taking some of the defensive pressure off of Brayden Point. And if Kucherov wasn't skating right there with Point on that last empty net play, if it would have been a 2-on-1 in favor of the defense. And that might not have led to the empty net goal. Things could have been different. So Kucherov might not have been officially on the board with that empty netter, but just the fact that he's skating forward, the fact that he is doing his job and playing his offensive role is just doing enough to help the Lightning win. And it's always more than enough with Kucherov. And great to see that he gets a goal in his first game back. Not that anyone would expect him to, but just not missing a beat. And that is what you want to see from your star player, especially at the beginning of a road trip like this. And this, as of right now, this road trip actually goes down from 3 to 6 in the Pacific Division standings. Third are the Vancouver Canucks, tied third against Edmonton, but the Oilers have played 1 extra game. They are in fourth. The Oilers are up next on Tuesday, then Calgary on Thursday. They're fifth, 1 point behind Edmonton, and Seattle has played 2 more games than Edmonton and Calgary. 29 on the season, 14-1 with 29 points. That is where the Lightning end this week-long road trip on Saturday at night before they return home the following Tuesday for a 3-game homestand against Columbus, St. Louis, and Florida. And I still think Edmonton might end up being the toughest team on this entire road trip. But it still doesn't diminish from how difficult to test Vancouver was. And the Lightning have already beaten the Canucks at home at the beginning of the season. It was their home opener, actually, where they got the win against Vancouver. This is a team the Lightning have had the number of, and even with Cirelli and Erik Cernak leaving early in the game, the Lightning still were able to pull a back and forth contest into their favor. And we'll talk a bit more about what those potential injuries could mean. No comments from John Cooper after this game, but it's a tough game, regardless of the fact if you've played this team before or not. Cirelli is not just a crucial second line forward, but he is also a crucial player on penalty kills. He's a key guy on special teams at an even strength, and really the same goes with Erik Cernak. He's part of one of the most sound defensive partnerships in the NHL right now with Ryan McDonagh. And do the Lightning have a solid depth in terms of defense to cover? Yes, absolutely. But those are still two injuries that, on the heel of a bunch of other ones, right when it seemed like the Lightning were getting guys back. Nick Paul had just come back. Nikita Kucherov was back after a 2-game layoff. Mitchell Chaffee had missed a bunch of time. He was back. Cam Atkinson had been banged up. He had been back in a big way over the past few games. I mean, the Lightning just seemed to be turning the corner injury-wise, and then in the same game, 2 key players get hurt, and that is just more bumps and bruises that the Lightning have suffered over the course of the season. But this game was one that was dominated by that Lightning first line as well. Another first line guy, Jake Guentzel, got that game winner on a play that certainly sounded in the stadium. Well, that was seen as controversial. It looked to me like a good goal. I think it hit off the defenseman's stick, but that goal still doesn't happen without Guentzel being in the right spot at the right time. Nikita Kucherov just makes an inch-perfect pass, eluding the defenders, and the only reason it hit a defender's stick on Vancouver is just because it had bounced around a little bit. And, Kucherov makes the perfect pass, Guentzel in the exact right spot, and the positioning was something that I really like to see from Lightning forwards, not just guys in the first line, but Brandon Hagel as well. There were a couple of those goals that Hagel was in a really good position to agitate the goalkeeper, to cause the defenders maybe to overshift a little bit. And especially that second Braden Point goal where Hagel literally was screening the goalkeeper and had to dodge. He had to get himself out of the way of the puck. I mean, the Lightning were just in such good positions to make dangerous things happen. They were screening goalies. They were getting on the right sides of defenders. And they were just finding the open seams in every sense of the word, whether that's a good look on the net or open seams in the defense to just slice their way towards the net, crash the net as much as they possibly could. Just a really strong organization for the Tampa Bay Lightning offense, and it showed because they continued to get good opportunities. They outshot the Canucks. They significantly outperformed Vancouver on the power play. I mean, it was an offensive exhibition for Tampa Bay in just about every sense of the word. And it was a good win in that they played a tough team. And it was a game where there was never really a moment where you saw one team breaking away from the other. It never seemed like a lead was safe. It was just a really hard-fought, evenly played game between two teams who, in my opinion, are going to be playoff bound. And they could surprise some people. These are these pesky teams that could get those key wins in the playoffs. They just have that kind of get under your skin, do all the little things right kind of mentality that can upset teams in the postseason. So these are two guys that you might have to watch out for come the spring and summer. But two guys the Lightning are going to have to watch out for are Anthony Cirelli and Erik Cernak, both second-line players who left early due to injury. We're going to dive in a little bit on what that could mean for the Tampa Bay Lightning when we return. I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I am not going to stand in front of a Victor Hedman snapshot just to save a few bucks. It has to be easy. No hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with a purchase of a 3-month plan, I called them on it. Turns out it really is that easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the process was how much time I spent on hold wanting to break up with my old provider. And it was much easier once I got past all the robots and switched away from big wireless to get on to Mint Mobile. And for you, it can be even easier. To get started, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. Then you'll see that right now, all 3-month plans are just $15 a month, including the unlimited plan. And all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $16 a month. To get this new offer, that's a new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNHL. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Game Time can be downloaded on the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but just make sure to get an account on the Game Time app and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So, great for a Lightning victory. I think it certainly bodes well and does a good job setting the momentum for the rest of this road trip. But a big loss for Tampa Bay in this game was the injuries biting once again. Mitchell Chaffee played after a long injury history, and Nikita Kucherov had a goal and 2 assists in his first game back after missing 2 with an injury. But Anthony Cirelli and Erik Cernak both had to leave the game early. Cernak played less than 15 minutes. He averages about 20. Anthony Cirelli, the similar averages, he played less than 5. And when John Cooper was asked, he said he'll let you know tomorrow. So hopefully sometime today, the Lightning will have a positive update on Cirelli and Cernak, but no info just yet from Coach John Cooper. And Cirelli, I think, might be an even bigger piece than Cernak. The Lightning have been using 6 or 7 defenders and slotting up Radish to replace Cernak on the right side with McDonough, keeping Perbix and Lilleberg, which has been the second line for most of the season. I'm okay with that. I think that's a decent combination. And regardless, I think the Lightning have any potential defensive depth issues in the AHL, with Derek Pouliot among the Lightning's leaders in points the Crunch's leaders in points in his first season with Syracuse. So I think depth-wise, the Lightning are a lot more set on defense But losing Anthony Cirelli, I think, would really hurt if that was for an extended period of time. As I mentioned earlier, Cirelli is not just crucial to the Lightning on the offensive side of the puck, where he is sixth on the team in points with 24. He is also among their goal-scoring leaders, fifth with 11 and assists. He is also fifth with 13. A plus-minus of plus 14 is tied with Brandon Hagel, plus one above Brandon Hagel to lead all Lightning forwards, tied with Ryan McDonagh and J.J. Moser for the team lead. So Cirelli has been a crucial part of the Lightning when it comes to offense, but I think it's the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheet for Cirelli that really showcases him as such a crucial Lightning player. It's his chemistry with Brandon Hagel that makes for an elite penalty kill unit and really improves that second line no matter who else is on it. When Geekie was on there for the time prior to a bunch of injuries, he was playing some of his best hockey. Mitchell Chaffee has gotten a couple of his goals on that second line. Nick Paul was looking like he was making a star turn before his injury sidelined him for almost a month on that second line with Cirelli and Hagel. I mean, that combination just makes so many good things happen on both the offensive and defensive end for the Lightning. And, you can bring back Connor Sheary, maybe give Gage Gonzalez a bit more playing time, but a lot of the forwards that you're looking at on the crunch that might be ready to be called up soon, your Dylan Dukes, maybe your Jaden DeRose, they are still prospects. These are still guys that are in their first or second season, just kind of getting acclimated. Hootenin is someone else that could be brought up, but even he's in his first year with the team. I think the Lightning, most of the Lightning's AHL might be a little bit away from coming back up to Tampa. So, Connor Sheary might be taking a trip if Cirelli's going to have to miss some time, but, it might be but starting to call some of these younger guys up is beginning to turn into a possibility. It's at the point of the season where, you want to get some of these guys from the minor leagues. If you want to get them a shot at the NHL, you want to get it, I think, as early in the season as you can, just to give them even more time to get acclimated and get used to just being an NHL hockey player. Because no matter how everyone tries to say it, there is going to be some kind of, extra weight to playing in an NHL game, to putting on an NHL jersey and going to some of the biggest arenas in the country to play hockey. And, I think that it's important to bring some of those guys up, but it's got to be the right time. And when it's, injuries after injuries, this is a time for some of these guys to prove themselves and say, hey, I don't care if this guy's injured or not, I still deserve to be up here. And I think those are the kind of things that could, make turns in a positive way to a team's season. So maybe get like a two-way forward or someone up here, or bring a guy like Pulio, who's certainly trying to finish his career in the NHL at around 33 years old. He's been up and down in his last couple of years in the league. I mean, the Lightning certainly have players on the crunch that I think are ready to play in the NHL if they need to go that route to replace Cirelli for a long period of time. And I think if the Lightning are going to call up seventh defenseman, if Cernak is going to have to go for a period of time, I think Derek Pulio is just the perfect answer. He's been playing so well on both sides of the puck for the crunch. He's, again, one of their points leaders on offense. And just that veteran leadership, I think, has been so big for a pretty young and rookie-heavy crunch team. So I think he's someone that, with all the roster changes that have to be going around because of injuries, he might be able to provide a little bit more stability in the NHL. So I think there are certainly answers. Connor Sheary's, I think, going to be the next one back up if Cirelli's got to miss time. But if the Lightning do need to add another defenseman, they really haven't had defensive players with injuries that have forced them to miss significant time yet this season. Hopefully that's not going to be the case with Cernak either, but I think they've got an answer in Pulio or even in Toby Bisson. He's on a two-way deal as well. So I think, I think Pulio getting a call up might be a good move for Tampa if Cernak is expected to miss time. And I'm really hoping, though, that neither of them do. And to end things on a more positive note, Jake Guentzel has been everything I think that Lightning fans have hoped for and more after coming over in exchange for a third-round pick from the Carolina Hurricanes. How does he stack up between the rest of the offensive moves or the offseason moves that took place in the offseason in 2024? Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NHL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. So never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And FanDuel might be America's #1 sportsbook. And I think, though, America's #1 free agency signing, offseason move, offseason trade, I guess would be more applicable in this case, might have to be Jake Guentzel. When you look at some of the high-profile names that switch teams, Steven Stamkos going to the Predators along with Jonathan Marchessault, Tara Vinen going to the Blackhawks, Brady Skay going to the Predators as well. I mean, some really high-profile names switch teams over the course of the offseason. And in terms of points, Jake Guentzel leads all of them. And this was kind of a move that was obviously looked at as a big plus for Tampa Bay, but might have went under the radar a little bit. I think a lot of the focus was pulled to the fact that the Lightning had their former captain leave in free agency. And the Guentzel move came in just before Stamkos officially signed with the Predators. So it seemed like they had that hole plugged up before the flooding waters could spill into it. And Guentzel has been just outstanding so far for the Tampa Bay Lightning. 5 of his 12 goals have come on the power play. He's had a game winner as well. 12 goals and 13 assists, both in the top 3. The top 5 for the Lightning. He's tied for 4th with Cirelli for the team lead in assists and points. He is tied for 4th with the captain, Victor Hedman. And, you're always worried about chemistry with Guentzel. It really has not, it just hasn't skipped a beat. I mean, he has recent experience when it comes to moving teams. This is his 3rd team in 2024, but I mean, I just think, obviously there's still a lot going to happen for the rest of the season, but I think it's pretty safe to say that picking up Jake Guentzel was the best move of the offseason. And honestly, a close second might be the Mikhail Sergachev trade, because J.J. Moser has turned into every bit the defender that Sergachev was, and adding Connor Geekie to this Lightning team is already paying off now. I think he's really ingratiating himself well with the Tampa Bay Lightning offense. And I think in the future, it's going to pay even bigger dividends, because I think that he has such a high ceiling on his potential. And, the Tampa Bay Lightning committed that because they think that the prime of Jake Guentzel's career has a high ceiling as well. And it's already pretty evident that he is one of the most, respected and talented players in the league. He was seemingly a shoe-in and now on this Four Nations roster and expected to be a big part of a roster that people are just raving about. I mean, so many pundits and critics are just heaping positive praise on Team USA's roster. And I mean, they're talking about Jake Guentzel as a key component of that, as a key reason as why that roster is so talented and so deep at the forward position in particular. And it just seems like when the Lightning need him, he just comes up clutch. I mean, he had his first 2 Lightning assists in the opener against Carolina on empty netters to Nikita Kucherov that, helped seal the win. You can call an empty net merchant. You can say all that, make fun of scoring a goal without a goalie on. And is it easier? Yeah. Does it make putting that extra goal on the scoreboard any less important? It absolutely does not. And, this was the first game. This is the first game-winning goal for Jake Guentzel, but his 25 points are at the top of the table when it comes to, some big free agency moves across the entire league. And one of them who even played with Jake DeBrusk of Vancouver, who came on another big deal from Boston. And DeBrusk, unlike Guentzel, did not get himself on the scoreboard. But the Lightning made a big commitment to Guentzel, and it already seems like it's paying off. He really seems happy. Definitely enjoys playing with Point and Kucherov, and why wouldn't he? I mean, that is just such an elite line, and another reason why I think it makes the Guentzel move so big. Just putting him on that line, I genuinely think makes it the best forward line in hockey. I mean, I just don't see another team that has this kind of production from their top 3 guys. I mean, yeah, you can certainly compare some top lines of any other team, but could it be that Cooper has just a really heavy use on Guentzel, Point, and Cooch? Maybe, but I mean, it's warranted because they get the job done. Kucherov, it seems like, has put up multiple points in every game, and it's not every single game, but it's all but most of them. And Guentzel has just been putting up points in key moments. I mean, he's not typically, his goals are just going to come in at times where the Lightning need him. It's not like it's going to be a 5-2 game and Guentzel will tap in an easy one against the backup goalie. He's getting goals in key situations and key moments. It might not always show up as the game winner, but he keeps the Lightning in games with his offensive play. And statistically, he has been point-wise the best among guys who were traded and signed in free agency. And now we've already seen a couple of trades come to fruition during the season. The trade deadline is a little bit in the distance, but this is something that the Lightning, I think, are going to have to think about down the road, is who else they can get, maybe even for the kind of value, because Guentzel for a 3rd-round pick is absolute highway robbery against Carolina. I mean, just well done to get that trade done. And it might, Lightning might have a couple fewer draft picks in this year's draft, but I think they still have some assets that they can move if they need to get some more guys. But I think that, they made the moves that they needed to in the offseason, and it certainly kept them afloat. And, we can talk about Connor Geekie being a guy as the potential future of the franchise, and Moser and Hedman being a strong defensive pairing for however long that the cap has left. And who knows, maybe even Moser will have an additional letter on his jersey one day. But I think, getting Jake Guentzel for a 3rd-round pick has paid off even better than people could have expected. And I think there were pretty mixed expectations, but most of all, positive when it came to the projected impact for Guentzel on the Lightning. But I mean, if you told me that was going to be the best move of the offseason, the most productive move of the offseason for a team player switching teams, I don't know if I would have agreed with you back in June or July, but right now that certainly looks like it's being the case, and it really seems like Guentzel in the next 7 years is poised to do a lot of great things with this Tampa Bay Lightning team. And tomorrow we'll be previewing another game between the Lightning and the Edmonton Oilers. Some key matchups to talk about in that one. But first, we will thank you for tuning in to today's show and making Locked On Lightning your first listen today. For your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And wherever you found this podcast, make sure to give us a like, a follow, a subscribe. We really appreciate your guys' support. We do the show for you guys, so thank you so much for showing your interest and your support for Locked On Lightning. Josh Sperber signing off. Thanking you all again for watching and hoping all of you have a great start to your week.